Another form of manipulation is telling the telling the person fill in the gaps. I remember reading years ago. I was going to a church, and they had to trace the Baptist Independent Baptist Church back to Jesus, like the Witnesses do, Catholics do, and all that. And they want to say that they have the pure lineage, and that they're the only way to God and stuff like that. So they there's a book called The Trail of Blood, and I was reading the book, and then they got to a part in it where the guy who wrote it said, I think he said 400 years passed, and but you can take it from me that there was still a connection, and it was to connect the Anabaptists, the Baptists, the all of them up to the Independent Baptists. But if you look in secular reading, it says that the Independent Baptists started not that long ago. So you've got two different versions. You've got the church version and you've got the version where they just say them. So they say fill in the gaps with your mind by trusting them. People do that when they try to trick you. They say, they'll give you some evidence, they'll give you some other evidence, and then they'll say, and they'll just expect you to fill in the middle bit, or they'll say, and it connects. And when you're talking to people and you're confused, stay confused. The reason you're confused is to tell you that something's wrong, that you're not getting it. And it's not because you're thick, it's not because you're stupid, it's not because you're dumb. You're not getting it for a reason. Whatever that reason is it's not come to you clearly. And it's why I always say to people that I'm a slow learner, but once I get it, I'm fine. I just need the time to click to whatever it is that's being taught to me. And when people explain things to me and then they explain them like 4 times and I'm like still not getting it, I start smelling a rat. Like it may not be that I'm not so stupid like they might try to pretend I am. It's that what they're telling me doesn't ring true. And people will use stupid. They will try to make you out to be foolish or stupid. If you are clicking to something they don't want you to click to. So, and you might have two or three of them, and they'll say, and they'll look at each other like, "Don't you get?" And then they'll look at you like, you're really dumb, and they'll say, "Well, don't you get it?" And then you'll look at them, and you'll see that you'll see that they, if you don't agree, they will think you're fake or stupid or dumb. So you quickly go, "Oh no, I get it all right." Whereas I don't. I just say, "No, I don't get it." And or I say, "Well, I'll think about it. I don't quite understand what you're talking about, but I'll think about it." And it's like the whole COVID thing from the beginning. I originally had doubts, but I kept pushing the doubts aside because what the Prime Minister and everyone was saying. I don't like the Prime Minister. I don't trust the Prime Minister at all. But it was an official thing, and we've all heard of the plague in the Middle Ages and things like that. So masses of people have died. It's for certain reasons, and we just sort of assume from Italy and all that that's what's happening here now. But it's all gone to the flu disappearing now, and the latest version of the virus is just like a common cold. So you're starting a lot of people are getting suspicious. If you're suspicious about something, like someone tells you something and they say, "Well, you fill in the gaps," meaning they're kind of trying to say to you that it's really obvious. And don't you get it? What's wrong with you? Are you dumb? Are you fake? Are you? I've just told you 3 times. What's wrong with you? If they do that, just back off and say, okay, and go away and think about it. But the thing here is not to give in and say, okay, I believe you, or okay, that's right, because you in your head it's not. So keep it unright. Don't accept anything that you don't click to. It's not because you're thick. It's not because you're stupid. It's not because you're dumb. And if there's any hint that they're trying to make you feel foolish for not getting what they're telling, for not filling in the gaps, for not allowing, because with the sorry, I'm jumping off subject. With the Trail and Blood Book, where they've got that big 400-year gap thing, I'm going by memory here because I haven't read it in many years, but every single person who goes to the independent Baptist churches and a huge amount of Baptist churches fully believe the book and they filled in the gaps. They were told, you go to church, they say, have faith in what's been written in this book, and this is it. Don't question, don't argue, don't debate, just accept it because we said it's true. Therefore, it's true. Accept it. And if you don't accept it, you say they call you a heretic and stuff. I remember arguing with the pastor. I couldn't get, even in Sunday schools, I was saying to the male Sunday schools, I was saying, I don't get this. And he came up to my place one day and called me a heretic. And I said, well, that's quite a compliment. And he stared at me because my children were there. And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, Jesus was a heretic. Martin Luther was a heretic. And I said, name of these famous people. A heretic, according to the church, is someone who doesn't believe what they've told you. And if you, like the Catholic Church was well known for burning and killing so-called heretic groups, Christian groups, other groups, or individuals because they didn't believe what the Catholic Church said. So clearly they were heretics, get rid of them. They believed they had the divine right to kill people. So this is back in the Middle Age, not the Catholic Church today. So filling in the gaps shouldn't be when people try to pressure you to accept something and to believe it just because they say it's true, or they want you to fill in the gaps because they say to, like they say between the year 300 and the 400 and the year 800, the connection was still going, but we don't need to state it here because it's obvious. Or and you say, well, I'd like it stated so I can have a complete belief in it, and they say, no, just have faith, just trust us. That's trying to get out of it because they don't have the answers. And if you've been manipulated and tricked, they'll tell you because they're lying. And there's always traps to find out liars. You can either sense it. I'm very good at sensing lies. And if I sense someone's lying, I'll ask them heaps and heaps and heaps of questions, especially if there's a crowd. And because there's a crowd looking at them and they know other people are looking, they'll start to think, oh no, and they'll start stumbling over the words, making mistakes, or they'll try to put you down to beat you. And if you're not insecure and you fight back and keep fighting back and just say, oh, you're just picking at me because you don't have the answer, do you? And then they get really upset. So if you are living with a narcissist, or you think you're living with a narcissist, and your friends turn up, sit down at the table with your friends and then bring up the whole thing you have doubts about in front of them. And the narcissist, if they start picking at your character or picking at you, that's something to be suspicious about. And if they tell you to fill in the gaps while your friends are watching, you can either talk to your friends after and say, well, did you fill in the gaps? And they'll be like, no, that was ridiculous. You see what I'm getting at? So sometimes the other input from other people to what people are telling you, it makes a difference. They can question what you've been told to accept outright. And it's like at certain cult churches, you go to the church, you talk to the pastor and everyone, and then they say this is this and this. You leave that church and go to another church, or you go to atheists, and you mention what you were told at the other church, and they'll go, "What?" And they'll be horrified, and they'll say, "No, of course not. That's not how it goes." It's all a matter of interpreting it all in your own heart and in your own mind, and not allowing other people to push you, use peer pressure, use any form of pressure to, or guilt or emotions to make you accept something that you originally had doubts about. If you have doubts about something and you think this is not right, this is not true, then the doubts are warnings. It's a what is it called, a red flag. It's telling you something's wrong. You know, your mind is, it's saying, look, this doesn't match up. And even if they tell you or try to shame you or try to put you down because you don't get what it is they're trying to say, don't worry about it. Just say to them, okay, like that, and you can even pretend you get it. Just let it go, and then do your own research afterwards, out of the, you know. And if you use a computer or anything, and you think you're in a narcissist's home, delete your history every time you use the computer. On your browser, delete the history immediately. And just if you're, it's even with people that you're loyal to, so you should feel suspicion when they tell you to fill in the gaps or understand something. You should feel suspicion. When you feel suspicion, they can use loyalty and say, have I ever lied to you before? Haven't I always been here for you? Aren't I always here for you? Haven't I spent a lot of money on you? What's the matter with you? Can't you tell that I'm here for you? And I'm giving up my time and my life for you. All of those are signs of manipulation. All of those comments. That means they're bribing you with the effort they've put through. But it's like I said about if they were going to go to jail because they were trying to manipulate you into believing something else so you wouldn't go to the place. They will spend a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort. They'll give you the nicest house, the flashiest car, the the I can't remember what you call them, the nicest clothes, and if you're a female, dozens of shoes, and all that sort of stuff, because it's a small investment. Even a brand new car is a small investment to keep them out of jail. They'll spend the money, believe me. So if you have feelings and doubts and you're suspicious about something, keep it to yourself and carry on. And if you can, if you have free thinking friends, have them visit you and, let them be part of hang around some of the conversations. And then you will get hopefully a different view, something interesting. But do be wary that people expect you or will bully you into accepting stories that have huge holes in them, which means they want you to fill in the gaps between the huge holes, the lies, and you are telling you don't. You are telling you that these holes are red flags. There's something wrong. It's just manipulation. So something to think about.